What?
Oh, yeah. Run!
Hello, welcome to the SF Headbangers virtual happy hour. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Clank.
Today we have Karl Whinnery from Vintersea. So today I'd like to start off with a video that Karl has produced, directed, I think everything, right? Conceptualized from the get-go.
Yep.
Karl, do you have anything before we watch it, or do you want to just talk about it afterwards?
Let's talk about it afterwards.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Very cool.
How cool is that? I have so many questions.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
My first
was-
crazy question is, was there anybody else out there?
Yeah. I removed some cars from the shots, and then at night I had to remove like campfires and things. So where we filmed at the Alfred Desert is in southeastern Oregon, and it's the most rural part of the state. I mean, it's like 8 hours from Portland, 3 hours from the next small, decently sized town, I guess. There's people out there screwing around and everything, but we're talking like maybe 15. There's a hot springs out there where people go hang out. But it's in the middle of the summer, so it was like crazy hot. It's like over 90 degrees. It might have cracked 100, I don't know. But so there were some other people out there, but we didn't have to worry about it too much.
I guess my question would be, is your band still together?
Yeah. This is actually probably the smoothest. Actually, well, okay.
I
So
was just gonna say, because if somebody came to me and was like, okay, here's the plan. You're going to drag a boat from a rope in 100-degree temperatures through the desert, but the girls get to ride in it. I'd have been like, nah, I've been in this relationship before.
yeah.
I'm all good.
Yeah, so when you do these music videos, a lot of times we start with the crazy ideas, and you just kind of like pare them down as time or money prevents you from doing the grand vision. So we've had some that had like sci-fi ideas that we just decided to toss out because it just wasn't practical time-wise to do it. And this one, because of the pandemic, we had oodles of time, so we were able to do it. I think everybody thought I was full of shit when I said I wanted to build a boat and then take it to the desert. Nobody believed me. My wife was like calling her family members and saying, hey, are there any boats around? I'm like, I don't want a boat like that. I don't want one you can just go find like somebody ditched on the side of the road. That's not what I'm picturing here. And so it took me driving to I picked up my little brother one day and I was like, hey, and he's one of those guys that has to have a plan or he gets stressed out. And I picked him up and I was like, he's like, what are you doing today? And I was like, well, we're building a boat. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Wait, what? And I was like, yeah, and there's no plan, by the way. And he's like, and he just couldn't handle it. And I want to say probably within like 2 hours, he's like, okay, I get what you're doing. And we started with the rib structure of it, and we just kind of built from there. And there were no plans. I watched like 4 YouTube videos, each one for like 5 minutes, just to like see what the process was. And thankfully, it didn't have to float. If it had to float, that'd be a vastly different story.
That's awesome.
Can
I gush for a second and then ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I mean, like the attention to detail that you had in the video with the makeup and the costume and the location and I mean the setting and the ambiance, totally, absolutely insane. Are you trained in video direction? I mean, is this like something new? Because I mean, obviously you're playing bass within the band, which I think is amazing by itself, but also the fact that you've taken on doing video direction as well.
Yeah, so I started running. I actually met this band through doing a music video for them. I run a very small music production company, and I did a video with them a couple years ago, and it took off. And they were also, the band was awesome. I really enjoyed working with everybody, and they were one of the few that really went to the wall on the promotion. And so that video felt pretty good, and we split promotional budget on it. And it was the first band that was like, hey, we're interested in doing more. And most of the time people just kind of put it out there once and they just kind of let it go. And when bands actually really promote and push things, like you'd be surprised what doors they can open for them. So I don't know, we got along really good. And then they asked me to join. And I was like, all right, this seems pretty cool. Yeah, so no formal education there, just making lots and lots of videos. They start, I don't want to say crappy, but they're happy accidents, and then after a while you start being like, I can like, I have a vision in my head and now I can make it actually happen. And that was kind of a cool transition to slowly watch happen.
Yeah, it's kind of neat to see that when you do your first one and it sucks and you're like, I just want to make the next one suck less, and then you can kind of see the progression over time and it gets better and better and better. I got to say that was phenomenal. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, camera and framing. Very good.
Thank you. I look at it and I still see flaws in some of the spots. Like, there's always the things that you wish you had an extra couple hours. Like our Airbnb was supposed to be 2 hours away from the Alfred Desert. Turns out it was 3. And then the truck that was pulling the boat took an extra 45 minutes to an hour every day because, towing a boat sucks. and it ate into your time. And so just we thought we had a certain amount of hours, and we were there for like 3 hours, it felt like, before we actually started filming. So we're like, all right, all these little fancy shots we had gone, just cut, and now we just go for the simplified version. So it was also really, really windy out there. Like, it was the first time I went out to the Alvord. We just went with some friends and my wife, and I don't remember there being any wind. And this time it was like 30 to 50 mile an hour winds. Like, it actually knocked the drum set over during one of his takes. And so we almost got a fight on it. So Rodney's question about, is your band still together? Yeah, he was pretty pissed. And he's one of those guys where if there's like dust on his drum, just, I don't know why he plays drums. He shouldn't, because he cares too much. Most drummers I know just don't give a shit. But yeah, it was pretty stressful. Plus the heat and not eating and lack of sleep.
Nice. Who does the costume work? That's super impressive, especially the headdress stuff and things.
Yeah, so we bought Avian's red dress from Amazon. It was actually a Lady Melisandre cosplay type outfit, and then the headdress was from Etsy, and I think it was like 90 or $100 or something. And then the guitar players, his wife's mom and grandma helped make the robes, which is amazing. So, these things take a village, right? It's my name as the director on it, but really it was myself, my friend Freddie Heath, and my brother were like the three people where if either one of those guys hadn't been there, just none of this would have happened, because we had months of planning. I mean, this was by far the biggest lift on a music video ever that I've ever done. I mean, it was the biggest scope, but we're trying to go for it. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to go like, what if we didn't say no to anything? Assuming it wasn't a stupid idea, besides the boat going out in the desert, which is a stupid idea, but cool. Yeah, I don't know. And then the red headdress was something we got off of Etsy as well. It came from Poland, which was pretty cool. It showed up late, so we ended up not being able to use it for one shoot. And then when we did the cave thing, we were able to use it, which actually worked out really cool. So it all worked out in the end, but it was kind of a white knuckle there for a minute on a few things showing up on time.
Hey, Carl, I was going to ask if the headdress was from Lock and Key, because it looked pretty. Yeah, I don't know if you watched it or read the comics.
Oh, I haven't.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, sorry.
Actually, Karl put together like a log or blog on the making of, so I could send the link to you guys. I told him I was exhausted after reading that. It was just all the logistics and just so much creativity. I mean, it was amazing, the amount of effort, the whole family and the families, and the whole, just incredible. And just everything. I mean, just reading it, he's a really good writer too. So when you're reading it, you just get this I was getting anxious, like total anxiety just reading it. Like, I knew it would have turned out, with a happy ending, but still just reading it, like just the amount of stress they must have felt. But seeing the video, seeing the end result, I mean, you would have never known like all the stuff that was going on in the background. So kudos, huge kudos.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We built this thing called the Hell Set too, which we didn't even put in the video. And that was, when we filmed the in part, it was actually we made a 40 by 40 foot pool, and we were going for the Stranger Things type void. So we had this nice soft like top lighting, and there were reflections on the ground. And so there's probably only one shot in the video where you can actually see the reflection of the boat like I wanted it to. And it turned out 40 by 40 isn't quite enough to show the boat how I wanted. It just wasn't big enough wall, and like you just couldn't back up far enough. And but you have to cut the stuff that if it's not perfect, get rid of it. And so I didn't force any shots that I didn't think weren't going to work. But when we filmed that stuff, we also filmed, my original point was the Hell Set, and it was, I don't know if you ever saw the Mortal Kombat movie with the first one, and they had Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight in this like shipyard that was abandoned. They had nets and ships everywhere. It's like just super chaotic. And so we built this 2 frames that were like 10 feet tall and 10 feet across, and then we hung crosses and nets and ropes and just drug them everywhere. And it probably took like, I don't know, 2 hours to dress it appropriately. And then we lit it really cool. And the whole idea was to make it look like it's on fire and red, because the band mutinies against her, and then we drink this weird shit and then we die. And I wanted something so if we had the void in the end, we had time to cut back and forth between things that looked really cool. Well, and it turned out we shunted all the void stuff to the very end of the song, and then there wasn't space for the Hell Set. And also quality-wise, I'm like, it's cool, but it kind of doesn't fit now. So we cut it. And so we cut probably like a whole another music video's worth of footage from this that could have made it in.
Wow.
Did you
They
also do
are-
the editing for that too?
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, and so that boat had wheels on it, so I had to go cut all the wheels out and like remove them. So there's a few shots where it looks like it's levitating. I was like, I'm not even gonna try to make it look like it's sitting on the ground. I'm just gonna remove the wheels and call it good. The fun fact about that was the wheels actually worked too good. The boat would we had to act like we were pulling it because it would just glide. And when the wind kicked up a couple times, the boat would just move on its own.
Hilarious.
For the aerial shots, are you shooting with drones?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just a little Phantom 4 drone or whatever. And it was actually one of the more expensive parts in the video was it cost, we had to get drone insurance, and that drove up the production insurance cost. So I bought drone insurance for a year, and then I think it added another $300 to the insurance cost for filming out in the desert. But, you know, had to get them, right? Like, pretty cool. And those are the hardest shots. Like I was able to remove some tire tracks out of some of the other shots, but the drone shots, I spent like 4 hours one night trying to remove tire tracks, and I was like, no, it just doesn't look good enough. So I'm like, they're in. Sorry, they're there.
Now I have to look for all that stuff that you just mentioned because I mean,
Yeah. And so, we made tons of crosses. There was an idea originally that basically the small boat was kind of be like a skiff from a big boat. And we were going to have like wreckage strewn across the desert, like we got lost into some storm or something and wrecked there. So we had tons of crosses. So at the beginning, there's some crosses there, but we probably made somewhere between like 50 and 100 crosses. I mean, we spent like hours and days making these things and painting them and trying to add little details to them. And so I used to be fluent in Japanese, so I put our singer's name in Japanese, and I was putting everybody else's name in Japanese on it in some spots. And then we're doing a little bit of runes, but we're trying to be careful with runes because you don't want to get tagged as like white power, which, it's a legit concern in some cases.
Yeah. Stupid shaman guy.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah. But the rune that's on the boat and the rune that's on one of the drinking horns, there's one of them is called like Dagas, which is like daybreak. So we were kind of going for a crack of light. And so we were trying to get as much attention to detail as we could when we had the opportunity. And then in the whole shot of the boat where an avian and the handmaiden are they're tied up together, there's some squirrels hanging around, part of just the mise-en-scène. And the squirrel, if you look closely, there's a Waterworld ripoff. So the girl's tattoo on her back is actually on one of those scrolls that we made. That's my level of nerdery, Chris.
That was actually a pretty decent movie. Like, I know it got a lot of shit, but I loved that movie as a kid.
Same. I also thought it's funny. We're out in the desert, like Waterworld. Like, yeah, come on.
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely got some Rammstein Zeman video feel watching that because they're also tugging a boat in the desert. I'm like, huh.
Which
some similarities. Zeman.
Really?
Seemann.
Yeah, I'm actually checking out your guys' Facebook page and your merch. You guys got some cool merch out there and tons of photos on their Facebook page.
I'm totally reading through that link you guys that March shared. That I was already entrenched. I'm like, whoa! All right, it's good.
Karl, why don't you give us a little background of the band? And you're from Oregon. Is the whole band from in Oregon or?
Roughly. So Avian, she's a singer. She's actually from Malaysia. She moved here from school, and then I don't actually know if she's a citizen or not. I'm pretty sure she is. But yeah, she moved here for college, and so she is Malaysian born. I mean, it's crazy. And she happened to love metal over there and got into metal through like Dillinger Escape Plan and a bunch of other bands. And she helped pick her school. What made up her mind was the music scene in Oregon. So I just think that's so cool.
Wow.
And it's funny because I've known everybody since we did the Sky Set Ablaze video. I forget what year it was, but I want to say like three years now or something. But she's a star. She's a fucking star. She's a rock star, pure and simple. The rest of the band has lived in Oregon, I think, their entire lives. It seems like they all went to school here and they all knew each other. And I forget what year they started. They had a different band name, and unfortunately had a singer pass away from cancer. So they decided to change their sound, and then they got a new singer, Avian, and just things have been off to the races there. So they put out an album called The Gravity of Fall, and it did really well. And at a certain point, they met this guy Marco, who runs In Theory. He used to work for Century Media, and I think even Metal Blade at one point. And,
is it Marco Barberi?
Yes. Yeah. And so when we started chatting with him a little bit there, and then we went to go put out our second album called Illuminated, and we released that first video, and then they offered us a record deal. So that was really cool, because I didn't think I'd get a record deal when I was like pushing 40. I thought that was going to happen when I was in my early 20s. I've been at it for a while, but it's fun, and they've been great to work with. They've been a huge helping hand. It's unfortunate that we can't tour, because that's one of the areas where they've been really helping give advice, was like how to. Our whole plan is to basically get the band to Europe. Well, the cool thing about the pandemic, as crappy as it is, we had a video we filmed at a nuclear plant, and I know I say nuclear weird. Everybody calls me out on that. It's fine. I say nuke plant sometimes. But that video, it's called for a song called Befallen, and it took off. Like, ran ads on YouTube, and it just blew up. And then it blew another couple of videos up like crazy. And so we went from like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube to basically 27,000. And it was really crazy to watch that happen. And so I'm hoping Crack a Light will do the same thing at a certain point. I mean, it's still climbing, which is good. But I hope when the world does open back up, we'll actually have, we have a lot more international fans now. So maybe we could actually, Europe will have, instead of us begging to get to Europe, please, it'll be like, hey, we've got a pretty sizable audience here now.
Did you mention, was it Befallen was the one that we just mentioned?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that, because I kept watching that one we just watched like over and over after chatting with you and Art last night, but I haven't really checked out the others. So you have time for us to play this?
Yeah.
That was pretty epic.
Damn.
Wow, yeah, I can check that out. That's cool.
It was fun filming there. So they filmed part of Transformers 4 there.
Which one is that? Is that a Trojan or no? Trojan was detonated.
Yeah, this is Satop.
Yeah, the one in Erie, Washington, right?
Elma, yeah.
Elma. Yeah. I used to live in Tualatin,
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm familiar with the Portlandish area
Nice.
in north a bit.
Yeah, and so it never got fully operational. They got like 80% done and ran out of money, and I think 3 Mile Island happened and stuff. So they basically put it on pause, and then they started tearing it down a little, but it's too expensive to fully tear down. So now they're renting it out to the government and a bunch of other places, and you can film there. And for a crew under 10 people, it's $100 an hour plus insurance costs, which is dirt cheap. So for us to film there with insurance is like $1,200, which was really probably one of the best uses of money I've ever spent in my life. Problem is there's so many stairs everywhere. That cooling tower we filmed at, there's a lot of people that have filmed at the Satsop place, like Scold has filmed there, Metal Church. And if you go look, nobody filmed in the cooling tower that we filmed at because we're idiots. There's 6 flights of stairs to get up to the platform that's basically open air. So there's like some little off building and then an open air like walkway to get to the kind of ground floor on that cooling tower, where there's another cooling tower where it's at ground level and there's grass there. And so everybody films there because you can just like drive up and like drop your stuff off and pull the car out and you're set. But I didn't want grass. I was like, I want this to look industrial. I want it to look really cool. I want that cooling tower. Yeah. So, I mean, it was exhausting just moving gear. And one of the people who typically help us on videos, she ended up being sick. And so it was just the band and my friend Freddie who films with us, and we didn't have my brother, we didn't have anybody else. It was really rough shoot for that, and so time wise, we just had to make the most use of the space that we could.
I think it came out great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Well worth your sweat and heavy breathing.
Thank you. Yeah, and so what happened on that video, I really like it. I'm really happy how it came out, but the story is just, you know, she wanders around and puts stuff in an urn and then puts it in the tub, smokes, and then she gets in the tub. And yeah, Tim's gold. And for this one, for Crack a Light, I was like, I want to do something different. I want that story to be more the focus versus band playing in front of cooling tower or reactor room or something. And those were really cool. I love the shots, and yeah, I don't know. So I was just trying to do something different, and that's why Crack a Light was just way more attention on the story. It's still the ending's a little bit weird. We ripped part of the pool, so we weren't able to kind of get the last shot where we wanted, where she's like sailing off into the distance. But you know, still, it's a pretty epic video. And if you look at the two of them, like they're both really cool. It's like nuclear reactor plus crazy desert and boat. But I think that the artistry on Crack a Light shows a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're putting together something like that. How much is this reflecting on the lyrics and things, or is it kind of a some are, some aren't type of thing?
Yeah, and great question. And it you know, in general, I'd say it's kind of like, I don't know, 50-50. Sometimes like you see bands will come and they're like, oh, we have a song about robbing a bank, so can we find a bank? And it's just like, oh, fuck me, dude. And so on this one, what we did, the album is a concept album, and some of the songs have kind of themes, or they kind of fit in a story. And so this one was exploration. And that's really what the song's about, is this like civilization gets birthed by some creators, and then they break out on their own. And at this point, they're out exploring a new world, and it kind of bites them. So they kind of killed the creators. And so what we did was we just kind of used the whole exploration. So we had the Sunstone, and then some of the people, you know, ended up perishing. So that was the blowback part of it. And so it's kind of like a loose thing. And a lot of times I'll try to figure out, how do you show that without making it too on the nose? And that's, you know, we had one of the other videos where the drummer, not to rag on him, but he was like, oh, we could have a room full of TVs and they could be forcing propaganda and we can have Avian tied up in the chair. And it's just like, I've seen it. I don't want to do it. We've got to do something different. And so we didn't do that one. We didn't do that at all. We had Avian holding some other lady hostage and feeding her gold pills. And then she was getting gold flakes on her more and more as like the story went on. Yeah.
Very cool.
So,
Yeah.
question.
You have a great eye, and I mean, the results are fantastic. So that's why no one has quit in your band yet after what they went through. And then again, it's like, oh no, here we go again. So maybe this time. So
What
yeah.
we just watched, it was 32 degrees out. I mean, so it was like at freezing, and then there's wind chill. And so that reactor area was just freezing. So when you're playing and you're headbanging, you're fine. But as soon as you stop, it's just like freezing. And we were hoping to climb up to the top of the cooling tower. And it was such a hike, and we waited till the last shots to hit the cooling tower. So we tried to scale. We got about halfway up, and we're just like, no, we're done. We had 3 people that went to go up, and one guy dropped. He's just like, my legs aren't working. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then it was me and Avian, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I can go up anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not safe. And it was just freezing cold. And the silos, they go in and then they go back out again because of the parabola shape or parabolic. And when you hit the part of the stairs where it starts going back out over, and they haven't done improvements on the stairs since the 80s. Yeah, it's just kind of like, I'm good.
Dude, giving me sweaty hands, man.
Dude, seriously. And I was carrying a camera in my hand, and I was like, oh my God, if I drop this, it's gone. I lose all the footage we just shot.
I'm looking at your YouTube stuff, and you guys have like a whole boatload of reaction videos out there. Have you actually watched through them?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, we have a band chat. People post them in there. We have a Facebook community group, and people post them in there all the time. So typically, sometimes I'm like, how do people find this stuff so quick? It's like within 30 seconds of somebody posting it, they're like, hey, got a new one out. It's like, oh shit, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How much are you behind the camera during the shoots? I mean, obviously, if you're playing, you're probably not behind the camera, but are you trying to be behind the camera as much as possible?
Good question. It kind of depends. The desert shoot, I did a lot more behind the camera. We had like lack of sleep, super crazy windy, and we were shooting like longer lenses, and so there's a lot of shake on it, and it was really hard. So that shoot was a struggle. I'm also, both the people who film with me, Freddie's amazing. He does such a good job. And then my little brother, Josh, he's also friggin' just a rock star at this now. We've hit it hard again this summer. It reminded me of back, like before he was working at bars and everything. We were just going out all the time and shooting. And so I trust him completely, but there's certain times where, I'm the one editing. I'm like, I know I want this specific thing and I can't explain it properly. So I'm going to yank the camera for that. But we kind of switch off organically now. And sometimes I'll rent a third camera and just split up and go. Like we just did a video for a band called Pathways. We had 5 people on a crew, and we just had 3 cameras going basically the entire time. We just kind of had the floater camera go back and forth depending on what we were doing. It was really, really crazy, intense stuff. And that was fun because I didn't see the other team at all throughout the day. We checked in with each other. But I got home and I got to look at the footage for the first time, and instead of getting frustrated, I was like, "Oh my God, they're geniuses! Yes, this is so cool." So
That's awesome. So
What's the worst situation you've dealt with, where either like the band didn't cooperate, or you looked at footage someone else did, and you were like, "This person has glaucoma," or something serious wrong with it.
Live video. There's a whole take of the drummer where he's out of focus because it was so bright you couldn't see, and then there's a whole take of me where I had 2 guys next to me carrying flags, and it looked so fucking cool, and I really wanted that shot, and it was out of focus. So what I did, and also everything, like I said, is shaky, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just so hard. So after this shoot, I went out and I bought the backpacks that have the holder on top, because it just helps give you that extra point of stabilization. And it's been so nice. And I don't know how the hell I shot these music videos without them. But I did a video for a band called American Overdose, and they had Waylon from Mushroom Head guest, and Waylon had just left Mushroom Head. So he was in like a weird spot in his life, and he was just like, I don't want people thinking I'm joining this band. I'm like, all right, cool. So people are getting their makeup on, and I take him out in the woods, and we're like, all right, hey, will you sing? You know, we're gonna sing a song. And he's like, well, I'm not supposed to sing the song. I'm like, well, why did you come out here then? Like, what the hell? Are you just in the story? Like, so I managed to convince him to sing the song, and then he's like, I'm not taking my glasses off, and he's wearing glasses. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I looked at my brother. I was like, who the fuck? Like, kidding me? And so he gets halfway through the song, and I was just like, I was shaking my head at him. I was just like, dude, this is fucking dumb. And then he starts getting into it. And as he goes, he's just like, you could just see, I think he was just, I don't know, he woke up and maybe he wasn't feeling it at the moment, but by the time I got through the end of the first take, the next time we started the second take, he changed his shirt, took his glasses off, and just went for it. And I was like, okay, cool. So that one like almost was catastrophe, and it just ended up so cool. And then I had another band where the singer started getting drunk, and he was just being a fucking dickhead, and it's probably the closest I've ever come to like, I won't work with that guy again ever. But I was like really debating about whether I was just going to start punching him, because I was like, this guy's just a fucking cocksucker. And that's just not, I don't know. He's being really shitty to everybody. He's being shitty to an actress. And so I had to pull him aside 2-3 times and talk to the band members about it. And they're like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, get him to stop, get him out of here. Like, holy shit. He's just drinking in public. Like,
I appreciate you, Al.
He didn't puke like another band.
Now, Karl, what kind of bands would you like to record? Like, what would be like your top 5?
So,
because you obviously have an amazing eye, and
so
you don't put up with the bullshit like the arrogant asshole singers that are just drunk in the middle of the day and not doing their job. You know, who either, you know the whole adage, like, you don't want to meet your heroes because you don't want them to be dicks. You know,
yeah.
Like, so how high up the level do you want, or is acceptable for you, without ruining that hero status and still working with them?
It's interesting because I've played with some of the bands that would be on the list. And it's Machine Head's up there. I've always loved them. They put out their shittiest album and a couple really horrible songs. Still love them. They also put out some of the best songs in the world. So I would love to work with Rob, and I probably wouldn't be able to shut my mouth about their song Triple Beam. It's the worst thing I've ever fucking heard. And I don't know how he put that out and how he thought it was a good idea. It's about like meth and drug addiction. And I know he had a pass on it, but it's just really bad lyrically. It's like, dude, 2019 and you're rapping and your shit still, and which is rap's fine, but just the execution was just like, what are you guys doing? And they're one of my favorite bands, like always. I still wear the shirts proudly. Still love listening to them, but goddamn. But I'd love to do a video for them, because I also feel like they haven't done, some of their videos recently have got close, but they haven't quite hit that mark where you're like, as a fan, I'm like, God, I want them to do good. Gojira is another one. They're crushing it though. I love them. We got a chance to open for them last year, my other band, Ligature Marks, and they're also the best guys in the world. Like, they checked on us, they paid us. There's a sold out show for like a year, and they paid us. What are you guys doing? This is insane. And they kept checking on us, and they were just like the biggest sweethearts. And all they did was play and warm up and then go say hi to us. I was like, this isn't how you guys should be. It was really weird. I've never seen anything like that. They were just so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, in Karl's portfolio, he has a bunch of Bay Area bands that he shot for. So one of them is Skinlab, and that was shot in late 2019, right? Because it came out last year.
Yeah, late 2019, early 2020. I forget exactly. Yeah.
Right, for Amerikill. So let's watch this, and then we could talk about it after.
Staring at us, there's no religion, no one time for justice. Realize the ugly truth is real.
No, I don't want your vaccine, man.
That was cool.
How did you get in touch with the Skinlab guys?
So one of my band's Ligature Marks, the drummer is Kyle Baltus, and he plays in 36 Crazy Fists and toured a bunch. We actually played with Skinlab a bunch back in the day too, and then we were supposed to play with them on their tour last year, and then they ended up having a van issue, so we ended up playing without them that night. But so I've kind of known them a little bit here and there for like 10, 15 years or something like that. But Kyle was the one that kind of made that connection happen for this, which is cool because I've been listening to it for a long time, so it's really neat to work with them.
Yeah.
And speaking of being assholes, they're not. Steve's great. Super easy. Yeah. You know, it's always risky. You're talking about other bands. Vicious Rumors, like Jeff is amazing to work with. You know, you never know, especially for people that have had huge budgets on stuff or decent sized budgets. You just don't know if their expectation level is set where things are at. And thankfully, I've been really fortunate. You know, they've been super easy to work with. The editing's been great. So like when you send them updates, you don't end up with like a 300-page list of like weird. I mean, I don't care if it's a long list as long as it's good stuff. And with both those bands, everything that they've had has been really good. And I think I told March earlier, the idea for the Skinlab video fell apart 30 minutes before we were supposed to shoot part of it, because we're going to have an actress be a newscaster and basically use sex sells for guns and like lure this guy into like becoming a gun nut. And she bailed 30 minutes before the shoot. So like we were packing up and I was right about to go out the door. And she was like, "Oh, I can't make it because of COVID." I'm like, "Are you?" And I checked in with her earlier that morning and then at noon because I was just like, "All right, I can't let anything happen." And so we ended up just winging everything. And James, who is a director I'm working on a Friday the 13th fan film called Jason Rising. And the guy that played the mad scientist person, well, James, the director. And it was just he and I having a blast at this photo studio with smoke machines and a paint suit. And it's so random and so much fun. Yeah. And thankfully Steve loved it. The sad part was YouTube, because they had COVID and like little news overlays. They tagged it with a warning. So I think they got hosed a little bit by that.
Oh, okay. So you came up with that concept, but then you kind of had to shift gears. Yeah, no, were they happy with the video?
Yeah, super happy. Yeah, and we talked about it. Like I forget what Steve's original idea was, but you know, he kind of just had like a wide thing, like just something like this. Like, okay, cool. You know, a song's called Amerikill. You're not gonna have like people. I mean, it would have been funny to have like a bunch of hippies like passing flowers around and then getting stomped or something, but yeah, you know, it kind of sets the lane up, and plus the song's super energetic. So like, all right, we need something that's moves along and has some pretty cool stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It was cool. So Vicious Rumors, how did you end up working with the VR guys? Did you have a friendship with those guys, or?
Yeah, so they have a younger guitar player now named Gunnar, and he plays lead guitar. And Gunnar, I'd worked with him in his other band, Chronological Injustice. And Gunnar is awesome. He's a shredder, and he joined Vicious Rumors. Like, oh, that's super cool. And then they were looking for a video, and they hit me up, which is really neat. And the fun thing about music videos is each one, if you don't screw it up, each one's like a little mini commercial. So yeah, Gunnar showed them some of the work, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And originally for Vicious Rumors, we were supposed to film two of the guys up here, and then they were going to have somebody down in your guys' area film the rest of the guys, and then I was going to edit the footage. But something happened, and they weren't able to. It got complicated with their guys' timing and COVID happening and everything. So they're like, "Hey, what if we just drove up here?" And he filmed everything. I was like, well, that's easier because then we can just control everything. Because we were trying to match like photo studios, like, okay, what sort of walls do they have? That way, you know, the videos will look cohesive. And so it ended up working out really good. And those guys are such rock stars. We did 2 videos in 2 days. And the music videos are worse than shows because you're going for like 12 hours a day or something, maybe 10, whatever. I mean, just constantly just headbanging and moving. And they did 2 days in a row and they never complained once.
Nice. Let's check some of them out. There's 2. So which one, is there a particular one that you wanted me to play first?
Let's do Celebration Decay.
Okay, sounds good.
just had more breaking news that thermonuclear bombs of undetermined strength cannot be exploded.
That's an incredible vocal range there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the singer, lead guitarist live up in Portland, and then the rest of the guys are down there. And so it was Greg from who was originally in Testament on bass.
Yeah, Greg. He's a good player.
I didn't know that, but for some reason he kind of like was vaguely familiar. And he shows up, and everybody gets out of the van, and they've just been driving for like hours and hours and hours, and they're like, oh, kind of like everybody's like trying to like figure everything out. We're scoping out the spot, and he's like, how's the song go? And because he recorded it in the studio with them, and then hadn't, he's just been doing his other stuff. when they were getting ready to film the video, they were like, "Hey, Greg, you want to come up and be on it?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure." So he came up, which is cool, but he didn't know the song, and so he was really worried about it. And we did the first take. He's just like, I don't want to say he got frustrated, but you could just tell he felt bad about not being more up on it. And I was like, "Hey, scope the playback." And so the camera, what I was doing on that one was just going, just like going crazy with it. And he watched it back. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be fine." I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be great." So it's freaking hilarious. And then the second song, he knew it really well because he had a chance to practice it. So it was freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah, let's play that one next. Yeah, I like that camera work because it really added to that energy, that frenetic energy, like the set and then the handheld, like the motion. It really added a lot to it, actually. So
yeah, it's funny because you can camera motion. I see a lot of people they do weird stuff in videos where I'm like, God, it's just not. It doesn't add to it. Like, kind of takes it away. And I'm sure some people think this stuff is excessive. But as soon as I started playing, I was like, I think Jeff and Gunnar went up first. I've worked with Gunnar before, and the way he plays with the guitar, just like, it works great. And Jeff was the same way. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be cool. That video was probably the fastest video I've ever edited. I mean, it was like within 3 hours. I think I was like 90% there. I was like, holy shit, what happened? They crushed it every take. They crushed it and crushed it and crushed it. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, incredible video. And just, yeah, I love the energy that you portrayed in that video. It just really, really hit home. So yeah, let's play the second one that you did for them. Get this ready.
Pulse of the Dead. Yeah.
Upon this
And so that was fun. We were trying to make each video feel very completely different from each other. And the change in location helps too, but they change outfits and guitars and everything. It was fun. Jeff sent me a bunch of like, we're looking for public domain horror, and I clipped some things and then sent it to him. And he and I were going back and forth on what clips to add. He's super visual, so it was really helpful. It was super fun.
Yeah, it turned out really great. Great.
Mm-hmm. In both those videos, that was Freddie and I shooting those, and so we just split them up. And the one we just watched, Pulse of the Dead, we went to a photo studio, and they have like a white cyclorama wall, and then they also have some other wall that's painted black. And so we basically set up 2 different lighting stations where you're able to like work through people one at a time. And we did quite a few takes. I feel like I probably didn't use half the footage because some of it was just so good. Where it's like, just got to use the gold.
Nice.
So how did you learn your craft?
Was it like down the hallway in the dark? I got into doing video work because my band was touring and we're doing stuff, and I bought a little camcorder, and I thought, I can film this and we can do a music video. And it turned out harder to make a music video than I thought back then. But I was always filming our tour stuff. And so I'd edit little videos on the road. So we do 2 days of the tour, and then I have a video out. And then I think at a certain point, my wife, she was like, hey, my friend is doing some film stuff, and, do you want to go help out? And so I hopped on with him, Freddie, who we're working together now still, just help PA with stuff on them, just show up and help however. And that was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then we didn't do any video stuff for a while, and then I had a friend, one of my bands, he hired somebody to do a music video, and it was okay, but it wasn't quite what we wanted. And then kind of did that a couple more times, and I was like, why am I paying somebody else when we could probably do this and get what we want instead of something that's like the C level version when we want an A. And for metal, or if you look at like punk or rap, if they're not kind of poppy, the ideas that people have are very off-putting to, like, I'll say a normal person. I can't tell you how many times when we tell somebody what we're gonna do, and they're just like, oh god, like, how can you do that? And then they watch it and they're like, oh, okay, it's fine. But some of the ideas and some of the topics and things that you address, visuals, are just not normal things that somebody from film school or somebody who does commercials for a living are not gonna get this. So like, my best example is I one video where I bought 5 gallons of blood for it, and I was wondering if it'd be enough. And when my band played a show and it came back and they're like, oh yeah, hey, we only used like a quarter of that one thing. And I was like, no, I had 5, and I told you I was worried that wasn't gonna be enough. Like, god damn it. And so I got the results, and they made like a Lifetime movie version of what I wanted. It was nasty. Like people didn't talk after that one for a while, because when I edited the music video, I just clipped out the weird crap. Like, if somebody died, they had a reason why they died. I'm like, no, they're a victim. They just die. And it was basically what it was is this lady was a succubus, and she was going around killing people. And then she went to kill the singer, and it turns out he's a monster too. And then they go off together and kill people. But, she got shot, and she was supposed to bathe in a pool of blood. And there's a whole scene where she's supposed to have like, just blood healing her. So she bathes in blood and it heals her, and just did not end up how I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like Saturday night for me. So
there you go. Friday covered Saturday. I'm wondering if Sunday.
Yeah, it's like,
Again, you're basically just doing a chronology of my dating life.
Yeah. Next step is the dolphin.
yeah, Karl, do you happen to know Chemo Sanborn?
I do not.
Oh, I'll have to put you in touch with him.
Cool.
He's really, he's pretty ramping up on all of his video stuff. Everyone is just amazing, like, difference. And he's just kind of trying new things. Like you were saying, just kind of try a little bit, add kind of to your repertoire. So I'll have to put you in touch with him. Both of you, amazing artists. So.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know some look at some of this stuff as competition, but I'm just like, no, there's just so much inspiration. You can learn something from everybody, or I don't want to say steal ideas. I'll say learn something from them. But Yeah, it is so cool that we can, as mere mortals, we can do this, right? I mean, I've got a lot of money invested in this stuff, but you don't have to. I don't know, like my 20-year-old self would be blown away by what we can do now.
Yeah, chemo's great. I think you guys should definitely collaborate on stuff.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, send me some links. I'll eat that
I'm
up.
going to make it. Yeah, I'm like, these guys need to meet for sure. So, well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you being and telling us about your stories and and all the cool videos. I was like, oh my gosh. Art was pinging me last night and he was telling me about
Easy.
my friend, like my friend. I'm like, uh-oh. Well,
Friends.
my friend's in a band. It's like, oh,
Yeah, okay.
no, Art
I know one of those
Art
guys.
hasn't steered me wrong too badly. So no. So thanks for joining on last minute notice.
Thanks so much for having me. It's nice to meet everybody. I really appreciate the questions, and I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. I pasted a video in the chat. This band, Dead Animal Assembly Plant, they're from Portland. They're kind of on the industrial-ish side. They are very theatrical, so they have a lot of makeup and crazy costumes and stuff. But we filmed that one maybe last year, the year before, I forget now. But it's really crazy. And they had this whole concept where they had two people as watchers, and they were judging the politicians and business people. They put them on trial and kill them. But a really cool video. And, if you're looking at my list of videos, there's a lot. But I'm like, we went through some of the cool ones, but scope that one out if you get a second. It's pretty rad.
No, I mean, we have time, so let's scope it out. And you gave me two. Which one? The one that's
the bottom one.
The bottom one. Okay, yeah. Let's check.
I just scrubbed that one. That looks pretty cool. Great song, and I like the use of the color and contrast in the visual imagery too.
Yeah, thank you. So the fun thing on that was that we filmed was a public schoolhouse that was from the turn of the century, and it's kind of abandoned now. It's in a Oregon ghost town, which basically is the only building from back then. And so this elderly couple they're paying property taxes on it, and the place is in Friend, Oregon, and if you heard a car, it was so dead and desolate that if you heard a car, you're like, oh crap, what's going on? It was so weird, like how slow and how whatever. But the owners of the property dropped by, and we have two people. One guy's like 7 feet tall, and they have the makeup on, the band with the makeup on, and they're like, hi, what are you guys doing? And we were taking turns on people saying hi because it just looks weird. And my thing is always like smile and wave, because if you smile and wave, you'll disarm people. And instead of them like, what the hell are you doing? They're like, oh, okay, they're friendly. I don't have to fight. Like, great. And so they were so nice. And they were just like, oh, yeah, have fun. Be nice. And they hung out for a while and like watched us do stuff. But then they took off. But it could have gone so different. And I know it's like way different down in LA and California and Bay Area. Like film permits are just crazy down there, and they shut you down if you don't have them.
You know, it's funny, man. I used to work in the Dells right over there at the Google data center.
Oh wow!
So I know that area. So once you said Friend, I'm like, where the hell is that? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I love it out there.
It's super cool. Well, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for checking that last video out. That one was a fun one. Fun making the TV stuff on his face and everything.
Oh yeah, no, that was amazing. I was like, what is this? So Jeremy, I think you missed it, so I'll send you the links.
Yeah, please do.
Where you got you'll dig that one, Jeremy.
Yeah, I came back to it and I put my cans on. I'm like, oh man, this is like my genre, dude.
Yes,
I'm missing out.
You're missing it. So,
Karl, does Ariana Grande know she was in your video?
Dude, that clip made me sad when I found it. Just because I had heard about it, but then I watched the video of the dude just groping her boob, and I was just like,
horrible.
So it's creepy. Out of all the clips, that was the one that bummed me out because it had like a weird body reaction from it. It was just like, oh shit, like that's not cool.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Watch it again.
On that note, but, yeah. Thanks so much for having me. Really nice to meet everybody. Chris, Tim, and Jeremy, thank you guys. March.
Likewise.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it's great.
Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, looking forward to your next ones. So
Thank you.
back.
Yeah, I'm glad we're in contact now. So if we're not friends on Facebook, add me. I don't politics. I only post music videos and stock photos.
I do.
if you like
Nice.
cats, you'll like my stuff too. So.
Sweet.
Later, man.
Well, very nice meeting everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for
Likewise.
Yeah.
Later, dude.